There will come a day when you face the storm, a day when everything in your life turns against you, when people betray you, when plans collapse, when the world looks at you with ridicule, waiting for you to break. And in that moment, you will have two choices: to react or to remain unmoved. The weak will scream, panic, and crumble under pressure, but the strong, the ones who rise above all, will remain still. They will not flinch, they will not break. They will stare into the chaos with unshakable calm, and because of that, they will win. Because no enemy is more dangerous than the man who cannot be broken. No mind is more powerful than the one that controls itself. And no force in this world can stop the one who moves with cold, calculated calmness while others drown in emotion. History does not remember the loudest men. It remembers the ones who stood unshaken while the world lost itself. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome not with anger, but with discipline. Seneca outlived his enemies not with retaliation, but with patience. And Epictetus, though born a slave, became a master of his fate, not by reacting, but by remaining untouchable in spirit. Today, we uncover the truth that the modern world has buried. The truth that calmness is the greatest weapon a man can possess. Without it, you are a slave to everything: your emotions, your fears, the opinions of others. But once you master it, you will become something else entirely. Something feared, something respected, something unshakable. So before we begin, subscribe, because what you're about to learn will set you apart from the weak masses. And by the end of this, you will never look at yourself the same way again. The chaos that destroys men. There is an invisible war raging inside every man, a war that most will never win because they do not even realize they are fighting it. It is not a war of fists or weapons, but of control, a battle between impulse and discipline, between emotion and reason, between chaos and order. And the sad truth is, most men lose before they even step onto the battlefield. They let anger dictate their words, let fear dictate their actions, let doubt dictate their destiny. They wake up each morning already defeated, slaves to every little irritation, every fleeting feeling, every unfiltered reaction. A rude comment sends them into a rage. A small failure makes them spiral into self-pity. A single rejection makes them question their worth. They have no control, no mastery over themselves. And because of this, they have no power. Because the man who cannot rule himself will never rule anything in this world. This is the chaos that destroys men, not the struggles of life, not the enemies they face, but their own inability to remain calm in the storm. Look at history. How many great men have fallen, not because of their enemies, but because they were slaves to their emotions. A king who lets his ego cloud his judgment is overthrown. A warrior who lets rage blind him is outmaneuvered. A leader who lets fear paralyze him watches his empire collapse. Weak men believe that reacting makes them strong, but the truth is the strongest men are the ones who do not react. They do not panic when things go wrong. They do not let insults shake them. They do not allow fear to dictate their decisions. They stand like an immovable force while the rest of the world crumbles, and because of that, they survive where others fall. Calmness is not weakness. Calmness is the ultimate form of power. Imagine standing in the middle of a battlefield. Arrows fly, swords clash, men scream. Chaos reigns all around you. The weak men, they panic, they swing wildly, act without thinking, and fall into the trap of their own recklessness. But the strong, they stand still, they breathe, they assess. While others lose control, they remain untouchable. This is how wars are won, not through emotion, but through control. This is the mindset that Marcus Aurelius carried as he ruled Rome, even when everything around him seemed to be falling apart. He wrote, You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. True strength comes from within, not from how loud you are, not from how aggressive you appear, but from how well you control the fire that burns inside you. The man who remains composed when all others lose themselves is the one who emerges victorious. And now you have a choice: to remain like the rest, a slave to your emotions, or to rise above, untouchable and unbreakable. If you wish to take the first step toward mastering yourself, then prepare for what comes next. Because in the next chapter, we go deeper. We uncover the secret weapon that separates the weak from the powerful, the ability to control not just yourself, but the emotions of everyone around you. If you're ready to learn what most men will never understand, then keep watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe now, because what comes next will change you. The power of emotional silence. Power does not belong to the loud. It belongs to those who do not need to speak. It belongs to the man who remains unreadable, unshaken, and unbothered while the world around him crumbles into chaos. You see, most men give themselves away too easily. They let their emotions be seen, their weaknesses be known, their minds be controlled by the outside world. A single insult makes them defensive. A moment of pressure makes them panic. A little bit of fear makes them hesitate, and in that hesitation they lose, because the moment a man loses control of himself, he becomes the puppet of whoever is pulling his strings. But the one who remains silent, the one who does not react, he forces the world to reveal itself before he ever makes a move. He becomes the master while everyone else becomes the pawn. And that is why the most dangerous man in any room is the one who does not flinch, because he sees everything but gives nothing away. Imagine two men in an argument. One is loud, aggressive, throwing insults, desperately trying to provoke a reaction. The other remains still, watching, completely unmoved. Who has the power? It is not the one shouting, it is the one who refuses to play the game. You see, emotional silence is a weapon. When you do not react, you force others to expose themselves. You make them restless, desperate, uneasy. You strip them of their control while keeping all of yours. This is how the strongest men in history operated, not by reacting to every little thing, but by watching, waiting, and striking only when the time was right. Epictetus, a Stoic who was once a slave but became one of the greatest philosophers, understood this deeply. He said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. It is not the person who insults you that disturbs you, but your interpretation of the insult. This is the secret that separates the powerful from the weak, the realization that no one can truly control you unless you allow it. And once you learn to master this, you will begin to move through life untouchable." But emotional silence is not just about defense. It is a weapon of absolute dominance. The man who does not react forces the world to revolve around him. His calmness makes others nervous. His stillness makes others feel exposed. His silence makes people crave his validation, his words, his approval. And that is where true power lies. Not in seeking attention, but in making others seek yours. This is the path of the modern-day Stoic, the path of those who refuse to be controlled by their emotions, by society, by the expectations of others. And if you truly wish to walk this path, you must learn to embrace silence, because the next chapter will reveal something even more dangerous, the art of controlling not just yourself, but the emotions of everyone around you. So if you're ready for that, keep watching. And if you haven't already, subscribe now, because what's coming next will give you a power most men will never understand. Control others by controlling yourself. Most men believe power is about controlling the outside world, controlling people, situations, or outcomes. But the truth is, control over others begins with control over yourself. The man who masters his emotions masters the emotions of those around him. Think about it. When you walk into a room, who holds the power? The one who talks the loudest, tries the hardest, or demands attention? It is the one who does none of that. It is the one who remains still, composed, unreadable. The one who does not seek validation but forces others to seek his. That is real power. Because when you refuse to react, you create mystery. And mystery forces people to lean in, to wonder, to crave your response. This is why the most influential men in history were not the ones who spoke the most. They were the ones who knew when to speak, when to act, and when to remain silent. They understood that the moment you let your emotions show, you give away your power. But when you withhold, when you stay calm in the face of chaos, you become the one that people watch, the one that people follow, the one that people fear. Emotions are contagious. A panicked man spreads panic. A calm man spreads control. The one who remains unaffected sets the tone for everyone else. This is why great leaders do not react in times of crisis. They dictate the response. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, understood this better than anyone. Despite ruling an empire constantly at war, he never let fear, anger, or doubt control his actions. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Strength is not found in forcing others to obey. It is found in making others want to obey. A king does not beg for loyalty. His presence commands it. A warrior does not need to show rage. His silence speaks for him. The moment you control yourself so completely that nothing can shake you, others will start to look at you differently. They will respect you, admire you, fear you, and without even trying, you will have control over them. But here's the truth that most men will never understand. The strongest man is not the one who fights every battle. It is the one who chooses which battles are worth fighting. Most men waste their energy reacting to meaningless conflicts, proving themselves to people who don't matter, defending their ego in battles that only drain them. But the truly powerful, they observe, they wait, they let others expose their weaknesses while they remain still, calculating, untouchable. And when the time is right, they strike, not out of emotion but out of precision. This is the final stage of control, not just mastering yourself, but bending the world to your will without ever forcing it. The question is, will you be one of them? Because in the next video, we reveal something even deeper, the final step to becoming untouchable, the step that separates the common man from the legends. Subscribe now, because what comes next will change the way you see power forever.